The Galactic Council's arena had witnessed many spectacles over the centuries, but nothing quite like this. Ambassador Zethkar of the Hegemony watched through the observation deck's reinforced crystal as representatives from a dozen species prepared for the trial of champions. Each civilization had sent their finest, warriors bred for battle, enhanced soldiers with cybernetic implants, genetically modified specimens of pure lethality. Then there was the human. Marcus Holloway stood in the preparation chamber, running his calloused thumb along the edge of his grandfather's farming scythe. The blade was old, rust-spotted, and had never been designed for combat. It had spent decades cutting wheat, clearing brush, and performing the honest work of a man who grew things from dirt. The other champions towered over him. The crystalline Vorthan champion stood 9 feet tall with razor-sharp edges growing from his arms, while the Kethmori had brought a warrior whose exoskeleton could deflect plasma bolts. "This is insulting," growled General Thaxmore, the Hegemony's military advisor. "The humans mock us by sending— What is that creature? A laborer?" Ambassador Zethkar's 4 eyes studied the human more carefully. "Perhaps. Or perhaps they know something we don't." The arena floor was a harsh environment, rocky terrain with scattered metal debris, designed to test adaptability as much as combat prowess. As the gates opened, the champions spread out immediately. The Vorthan moved with geometric precision, the Kethmori scuttled with predatory grace, and the massive Gorlan champion charged forward with brute force that shook the ground. Marcus simply walked to the center and waited. "What is it doing?" Thaxmore demanded as the first confrontations began around the arena's perimeter. The champions engaged each other in spectacular displays of evolved lethality. Claws met energy shields, acid spit hissed against crystalline armor, and the air filled with the sounds of beings bred for war. The human remained still, watching, learning. When the Trilaxian champion, a creature of pure speed and venomous strikes, finally noticed the apparently defenseless human, it moved like liquid lightning. Its attack should have been over in seconds. Instead, Marcus stepped aside at the last possible moment, and the rusty scythe moved in a simple, economical arc. The Trilaxian's momentum carried it past the human and into the blade's path. There was no wasted motion, no dramatic flourish. Just the patient timing of a man who had spent decades reading the weather, knowing exactly when to plant and when to harvest. The Trilaxian collapsed, paralyzed by a strike that had found the one vulnerable nerve cluster in its otherwise impenetrable hide. "Luck," Thaxmore muttered, but his voice carried less certainty. Marcus picked up a piece of debris, a bent metal rod, and hefted it thoughtfully. Around him, the other champions continued their engineered violence, but something had shifted. They were beginning to notice the quiet human who had just eliminated one of their number with what appeared to be casual ease. The Gorlan champion, massive and confident, charged. Marcus didn't try to meet the creature's strength with strength. Instead, he used the metal rod as a lever against a piece of arena debris, redirecting the Gorlan's tremendous momentum into the arena wall. The impact was thunderous. The Gorlan didn't get back up. "He's not fighting them," Ambassador Zethkar realized aloud. "He's farming them." It was true. Marcus moved through the arena like a man working his fields, patient, methodical, using the environment and the champion's own nature against them. When the Kethmori tried to corner him with pack tactics, he led them into terrain where their coordination became a disadvantage. When the Vorthan attempted to use its crystalline projections as weapons, Marcus simply waited for the creature to overextend, then struck at the structural weaknesses that his farmer's eye recognized in the UI crystal formations. Each victory was quiet, efficient, almost anticlimactic. There were no roars of triumph, no displays of dominance. Marcus eliminated each opponent with the same methodical care he might use to remove pests from his crops or clear stones from a field. As the final champion, a heavily augmented cyborg warrior, fell to a precisely timed strike that found the one unarmored joint in its neck, silence filled the arena. The human stood alone among the defeated, breathing heavily but unbroken, his grandfather's rusty scythe still in his hand. The observation deck was quiet for a long moment. "I don't understand," Thaxmore finally said. "How did a farmer defeat our greatest warriors?" Ambassador Zethkar's eyes never left the human, who was now kneeling beside each fallen champion, checking for serious injuries, with the same care he might show a sick animal. "Because we sent warriors, General. Creatures bred and trained for battle, enhanced and modified for combat. And the humans sent someone who understands death." Zethkar's voice carried a new note of respect. "Every day that human decides what lives and what dies on his farm. He plants seeds knowing some will fail, harvests crops knowing they must be cut down to feed others. He has spent his life in the business of controlled ending and new beginning." Marcus stood and looked up at the observation deck, giving a small nod of acknowledgement before walking toward the arena exit. "We sent champions who know how to fight," Zethkar continued. "They sent someone who knows how to end things. There's a difference, General. A very important difference." In the arena, the medical teams moved to tend the defeated champions. Not one had been killed. Each had been neutralized with surgical precision, disabled rather than destroyed. The human had won not through superior violence, but through superior understanding of where violence should stop. As Marcus disappeared through the exit portal, still carrying his grandfather's rusty blade, the Galactic Council began to reconsider their assumptions about the newest species to join their ranks. Perhaps, they realized, they had been asking the wrong questions about humanity all along.